Why do I think that autumn is an important time for our homestead? So you look out at the garden and you think, well, that's a wrap. The harvest is in, things are looking a little sad out there, and you're ready to hang it up for the year. But what if I told you this is the most important moment for your garden? Seriously, the work you put in now is what separates a pretty good garden from an absolutely incredible one next year. Most people wait until spring to even think about their soil, and honestly, that's a huge mistake. They're basically setting themselves up for a season of fighting weeds, pests, and soil that just won't cooperate. But we're not going to do that. We're going to walk through the essential steps to prep our soil this autumn that will pretty much guarantee an amazing harvest. This isn't just tidying up, it's building the VIP foundation for our future garden. And at the same time, we need to be thinking ahead, just a little. There's two parts to this, prepping our soil and also thinking of where we will be planting next growing season. It's also referred to as crop rotation. And later in this video, I will share with you what that's all about and why it is important. But first, let's understand why autumn prep is my secret weapon. It's simple. My garden soil isn't just dirt. It's a living, breathing city of billions of microbes, fungi, and earthworms. And they're ready to work all winter long, but I want to give them the right supplies. While I'm inside sipping something warm, they're out there breaking down organic matter, creating nutrients, and building that rich, dark, perfect soil structure. When we prep in the autumn, we're basically starting a crock pot meal for our soil. It cooks all winter and is ready to serve our plants the second they go in the ground next spring. Skipping this is like trying to run a marathon after not eating for 3 months. It's just not going to end well. These steps slash our spring workload, smother weeds before they start, and create the kind of healthy soil that makes my neighbors jealous. All right, here's step 1, the cleanup, but with a twist. Your first instinct might be to just clear cut everything to make it look tidy. Let's be a little more strategic. First, what absolutely has to go? Well, any plant that had any sign of disease, powdery mildew on my squash, blight on the toms, we need them out. We don't throw them in the compost pile. That's just inviting the same problems back next year. Instead, we bag them up and get them off our property. As an alternative, I have enough space to actually burn them, and the ashes from that can be added to the compost process, so all is not lost. It's a game changer for breaking disease cycles. While we're at it, we yank any huge weeds that have gone to seed, saving myself from pulling thousands of their babies next spring. Now, here's the twist. What do we leave? I fight the urge to remove everything. I want to leave the sturdy source of healthy plants like the asparagus bed because it creates a winter resort for beneficial insects. Native bees love to nest in hollow stems, and seed heads become a crucial food source for birds. So the rule is simple: disease out, healthy habitat in. Finally, I grab our garden hardware, the stakes, cages, and trellises. Leaving them out in the elements just wears them out, and disease spores can hide on them all winter. A good scrub with soap and water, a little vinegar rinse is a great idea too, and store them somewhere dry. General tool maintenance like sharpening cutters I can leave for a rainy day. So now we get to step 2, give our soil a report card. Before I add a single thing, I want to know what I'm working with. Guessing is just a waste of time and money. A soil test is our garden's report card. It tells me where it's acing the class and where it needs to study more. For a quick pH test, grab some soil, put a scoop in one bowl and add a splash of vinegar. If it fizzes, my soil is alkaline. No fizz, grab another scoop, make some mud with a little water and add a spoonful of baking soda. If that fizzes, I've got acidic soil. Since most veggies like it neutral, this is a huge clue. Or I can just get my hands on a soil test kit from the garden centre. Step 3, add the organic gold. Now that I know what our soil needs, it's time for the most important step of all, adding organic matter. This is where the real magic happens. Remember, our goal is to feed the soil, not the plants. Healthy soil will handle the plants for us. Now for me, this is a personal choice. There's a lot of people saying that adding compost to your beds will wash out the nutrients when it rains. Maybe so, but in my climate, I don't get that much rain, and my aim is to be feeding the soil's life. so any rain that falls goes into the ground anyway. It's the organic matter I want to feed the life and keep my soil covered. The undisputed champion of soil amendments is compost. Whether it's homemade or you buy a bag, it's the perfect meal for your soil. We spread a generous 1 to 2 inch layer right on top of our garden beds. And here's the best part. We don't till it in. Tilling destroys the delicate soil structure you want to build. By just layering it on top, you're doing what nature does in a forest. This is sometimes called lasagna gardening, and it encourages earthworms to come up and do all the hard work of mixing and aerating for us. All winter, that compost will slowly break down, creating a rich, crumbly bed that's ready for planting in the spring. If you're short on compost, well-rotted manure is another fantastic choice. Just be sure it's aged. Fresh manure is way too hot with nitrogen and can scorch your plants. Step 4 is where we tuck our soil in for the winter. One of the worst things we can do is leave our soil naked and exposed all winter. Bare soil is a magnet for problems. It gets eroded by wind and rain, compacted by snow, and it's basically a giant welcome mat for weed seeds. We want to protect it with a blanket. We've got 2 great options here. Option 1 is totally free, fallen leaves. Instead of bagging them up for the curb, we shred them and pile them on our garden beds in a thick 4 to 6 inch layer. Shredding is key. It keeps them from turning into a soggy, impenetrable mat. This leafy blanket insulates our soil, protects beneficial microbes, smothers weeds, and breaks down into incredible leaf mold that our soil will love. I collect mine using the lawnmower. It's great, as it does the shredding for me and also tidies the grass. Option 2, and this is my personal favourite for veggie beds, is planting a cover crop. Think of it as a living green blanket or green manure. Planting something like winter rye, hairy vetch or crimson clover is a pro move. Grasses like winter rye use their deep roots to break up heavy soil and prevent erosion. Legumes like vetch and clover have a genuine superpower. They team up with soil bacteria to pull nitrogen-free fertilizer right out of the air and store it in your soil. You can even use a mix of a grass and a legume for the best of both worlds. Plant them in early fall, let them grow, and in spring, you just cut them down. The result is beautiful, naturally fertilized soil. Step 5, plant for the future. Our last step is a fun one, getting a massive head start on next year's harvest. And the star of the show is garlic. Now, some people also plant onions, and that might be okay for their climate, but it's something I avoid and tend to plant onions in March to avoid them bolting. Planting garlic in the autumn is the secret to getting those huge flavorful bulbs next summer. For me here, I get fantastic results from the garlic harvest, and I have put together a video that shows you how I plant mine, what I add to the soil from the start, right through the growing season, and then talk about the different types and which is best for your climate. It's due out next week, so if you don't want to miss it, you know what to do. Yep, hit the subscribe button. So when you're done with all this, our garden might not look like some sterile picture-perfect magazine cover. It's going to look better because it's going to look alive. It'll be tucked in under a cozy blanket of mulch or a lush green cover crop. And underneath, a whole universe of life is working around the clock to build us the most fertile, resilient, and amazing soil. We're not just closing up shop for the season, we're making a powerful investment in our garden's future. We've fought next year's diseases, fed our soil, prevented erosion, and even got a head start on our first harvest. We've set the stage for your best garden ever. Now, with all that said, we need to think about crop rotation. Some say there's no need to do it, others say do it. Me, I do it, and here's why. What is the number one rule I have learnt about growing my veg? I still remember standing in the garden about 20 years ago, staring at a row of cabbages that looked more miserable than I did after a wet Monday morning. My old dog wasn't impressed either. I'd done everything I thought was right. Good compost, plenty of water, even a little pep talk. But when I pulled one up, what did I find? Not a healthy root system, but these horrible swollen lumps. That was my grand introduction to clubroot. And that's when I learned the hard way about the number one rule in gardening, rotation. Back then, I used to plant my cabbages in the same spot year after year because, well, that was their spot. Just like your favorite chair in the house, it never moves. The trouble was the soil had other ideas. Clubroot had settled in, and once it's in your ground, it doesn't pack its bags easily. Those cabbages went from promising little seedlings to sickly, stunted things that looked like they'd given up on life. I can laugh now, but at the time it felt like the soil was playing a practical joke on me. That disaster taught me about crop rotation. Vegetables belong to families, brassicas like cabbages, roots like carrots, legumes like beans, and the potato family. Keep planting the same things in the same place, and you don't just drain the soil of the same nutrients, you also give diseases like clubroot a permanent address. The good news is there are remedies. Adding lime can help make the soil less acidic, which slows down clubroot. Starting young plants in pots before planting them out gives them a head start too. But honestly, the best long-term cure I found was rotation. Move the brassicas to a new bed each year, follow the legumes to use the nitrogen they left behind, and keep the soil guessing. It's a bit of planning, but the results are night and day. Ever since then, I've thought of rotation as a game of musical chairs for vegetables. No one gets too comfortable, the pests and diseases can't keep up, and I don't end up with cabbages that look like they've been through a boxing match underground. So if your garden seems to be sulking, don't just blame the soil or the fertilizer. Ask yourself if you're giving your plants the same chair every year. Rotate, don't stagnate. That's the lesson I learned 20 years ago, thanks to a very sad crop of cabbages. The traditional 4-year crop rotation system divides vegetables into 4 broad groups, though sometimes adjusted depending on what you grow. Legumes like peas, beans, sometimes clover or green manures fix nitrogen into the soil, improving fertility for the next crop. Brassicas such as cabbage, kale, broccoli, Brussels sprouts and cauliflower need plenty of nitrogen, so they often follow legumes. Root crops being carrots, parsnips, beetroot, onions and leeks prefer soil that is not too rich in fresh manure. Potatoes and other Solanaceae members like tomatoes, peppers and aubergines I put in a well-mulched area. It won't need a load of nitrogen as I want the fruits, not leaves, so we'll amend throughout the growing season with potassium and phosphorus. And that's it. Don't make the same mistake I made all those years ago. I'll see you next week when we talk about all things garlic, just in time for Halloween.